Hi everyone, it's Mari here for the Paper and Ink Boutique. I'm excited to be back today with a really fun Halloween theme project. This time I'm going to be making a tag with a bunch of Ideology, Ranger, Tim Holtz products. And this actually is a tag that I made for my grandson's treat bag. I think it's super cute. And I started with a Ranger Distress tag number 8. These tags are 6 1/4 by 3 1/4. Really great size for what I wanted to do today. So what I started with here with my tag is some distress paint in old paper. And I love this color. It's just really kind of a neutral, kind of a nice neutral gray-green. And I'm just taking a brush and I'm just brushing that onto my tag. And what this is going to do is it's going to seal that paper, and it's also going to provide a little bit of color. So really like that a lot, and that's what I wanted to go with here. So next I'm going to take some collage paper. This is from the Ideology Halloween release this year. The one that I'm going to be using here has bugs on it. I just wanted something again to layer. I wanted something that's going to provide some texture, something that is going to again be able to be layered onto. This is some multi-medium matte that I'm putting onto the tag here, and this is just going to allow that collage paper to stick down and adhere. There's that product there. I love that. You can use it as a glue as well. And I'm going to also be using this Stampers Anonymous CMS115 Halloween Silhouettes stamp. Love the Stampers Anonymous stamps. They're always so good. And I'm going to use a VERSAFINE CLAIR ink. This one is summertime, but you could honestly use any orange ink that you have. And I'm just going to go ahead and use that. What I like about this particular ink is it's waterproof. So once it's down, it's down. And I wasn't really 100% sure what other mediums I wanted to use on top of this. So once I've got that down, I am going to make sure that that's dry. I will dry that with my Ranger heat tool a little bit. And then what I also like to do just to make sure that it's nice and dry is I'll just take a piece of copy paper and I'll just press that over top of the ink. You can see there it's still a little bit wet. I'll fold the paper over and I will do that again here on my tag. And once I'm sure that that ink is dry, I'll go on to my next step. Now this is mini stencil set number 23. It comes with these 3 stencils. Really great, really awesome for Halloween. I just wanted to show you here, I'm going to be using the opaque texture paste matte from Ranger, and that little elastic, those bands that you can buy are perfect for sealing your jars so that they don't harden up on you. This is the skull stencil from that stencil trio number 23, and I'm just going to use this in white, but you can actually colorize this paste with your inks or your different mediums to make it a color if you want. I'm just using it in white here, but you'll see that I am going to add a little bit of color to some of it with a spray. So I'm just going over that with my palette knife here, and that is just going to go on there really super easy. And I'll just close that up. I'll get that rubber band back on there so that that stays nice and sealed. And I'll clean my palette knife and my stencil right away, just to make sure that nothing dries on my different products here, my different tools. And I'll set that aside to dry. Now this is the Distress Mica stain in Ominous Twilight. It's a really pretty color of purple. I'm just going to put that into my splat box, and I'll also spray it with some water and just let it run on the tag, let it move around there a little bit. And I just wanted some purple on here just because I like using purple and orange as a color scheme during the Halloween season. And give that a little more spritz and let that move around, and I'll tap the excess ink off into my splat box onto that paper that's lining the box. Now I'm just going to take my heat tool and I'm going to dry that, and once it's nice and dry I'll be ready to go on to my next step. So just give that a few more seconds to dry. Now I'm just going to take a blending brush and my black soot oxide ink, and I'm just going to define the edges of my tag with that black soot. So you can do this with your die cuts as well to add definition to the edges of your die cuts, or whatever it is that you're working on where you might want to create a little bit of more of a black edging or a different color of edging on it, whatever it is, whatever color it is that you are working with. So just going to finish that off here. Once I'm happy with that, I'll clean my desk up and move on to where I'm going next with this tag. So here you can just see I'm just getting all those great layers going. These are the Halloween layers and paper dolls from this year. I love these paper dolls. I always buy them when they come out with new ones because they're so much fun to have in your stash to reach for when you're working on any type of a cool project like this. I'm taking one of the children from that paper doll set and giving him some bat wings for my focal point. Now this is another die set this is from Sizzix. This is a Thinlit doll vault set called Fright Night, and I really wanted to use this kind of graveyard scene from that die set to add as a grounding piece for my spooky kid that's got the bat wings there. I added a little bit of black detail to that with my ink. This I'm just showing you here is the Tim Holtz cardstock that I used to die cut that graveyard from. Now you can see my idea here with that graveyard down at the bottom. I don't want to cover up my collage paper, and I didn't want to put the boy all the way to the bottom. So in this way, it just allows us to have that little bit of grounding piece. So I'm just going to use my MISTI glue press here, and I'm going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive to the back of this piece. This is a little bit too wide for my tag, but that's fine. I can just trim off the excess that's hanging over with my scissors later. So I'm just going to give that a really good press so that that sticks down to all of the different layers that I have. Now I'm just adding some glue to the feet of the boy, and in that way it's going to allow me to just continue to add layers behind him once I know exactly where he's going to be placed. This playing card is from the Layers and Paper Dolls again, and most of that's going to get covered up, but I just love that it is going to provide a little bit of layer and backing to that, to my focal point. This is another Thinlits from Sizzix. This one's called Layered Dots. I only cut the one layer with the large dots, again from the Tim Holtz cardstock. And I just love this die because it's so great for so many things, including just using for layering pieces. You can just rip off, tear off, cut off, whatever you want to do, as much of a little layering piece that you would like for your project. And I love that. And you could add some ink to that as well if you wanted. These are the Halloween large collage strips from the Halloween large collage strips pack from this year. And awesome, just another really awesome product. There's so many cool pieces in there. I wanted to add some more purple up behind the child here, so I really like this piece. I'll just tear off that chunk and add that in behind there. Now this spider web is from that Fright Night Vault die set from Sizzix, and that's just going to layer perfectly in behind our child as well. And this tree is from that die set also, and the tree is almost the perfect, it really is the perfect size for what I was going for here. So I'm going to just add that on as a layer beside the child as well. So I'm just going to start to glue and adhere some of these different bits that I'm adding on here. So I'll just add a little bit of liquid adhesive to the spider web, and I'll give that a press until I feel like that's adhered down. And then I'm going to add some thin foam squares behind some of these layers. And behind the child, I'll put a thicker foam square. And in that way, we're getting a little bit of dimension. I like the thin foam squares as well, just because like it doesn't make it too thick. And then here I'm just gluing that tree down, getting that into place. Love that. I think that looks really cool. This is the mummy cloth. I think that Ideology releases this every Halloween season, and I wanted to use the mummy cloth as a piece of detail kind of down at the bottom below the grounding piece there. I'm also going to be using the Halloween jute string, and this is Ideology from this year as well. I'm going to layer the jute string over top of the mummy cloth, and I'll tie that in behind. I'll just slide that in behind and then tie it in a bow in the front. And I think I have to adjust this a few times to get it just right, but eventually I get it, and I'm just tying it in just, you know, the most basic of bows possible, because I am not a bow expert, that's for sure. And I'm just using my Tim Holtz tweezers there to hold that initial knot in place so that I can get that bow tied. And I'll tighten that up and trim off the extra. And we've just got this really cute little bow at the bottom that's just adding some really fun texture on there. I love it. I love the mummy cloth. I highly recommend getting that when it comes out. It's great for layering on all kinds of different projects. They don't have to be Halloween. This is the Halloween sticker book. So, so good. I love it. And these are the Ideology word plaques and tags for Halloween this year. I put one of those little charms on this jute string. This one has the number 31 on it. And I'm just again going to tie some mummy cloth, or I'll put some mummy cloth through that hole in the tag, and I'll put the jute string through there as well. And I'll tie those pieces together. And in that way, we've got a little bit of that same texture with those different textiles at the top. And then that little 31 charm is going to be showing as well. So I think that's just cute. And just, you know, again, some extra layers and interest on this fun little tag. Just going to trim off the excess bits at the top there that I don't want, that I feel like I didn't need. And you may notice that I added that sticker above and to the left of the head of the boy, and it says most becoming costume. I thought that was very fitting for this particular tag. I didn't want it to be too spooky because it is for my little grandson's treat bag. He's not very old, so I don't want to scare him too much. And this is the YASUTOMO black watercolor. I'm just going to water it down a little bit and add some splatters of that onto my tag. I'll let that dry a little bit, and once the black is dry, I'm going to splatter with some white paint as well. And you'll notice that I do have the face and the words covered up here. I wasn't worried about the watercolor getting on anything else. I just want to make sure that it didn't mar the words, the text, or the face in any way. So that is why I have that scrap paper over top of those areas. So here I am just splattering away, and then I'll just get that brush cleaned up. I'll get my paint cleaned up, and I think the only other thing that I add at this point is a little bit more of the, I added a little bit more of the collage paper maybe, or a little bit of brown paper, and you'll see those elements in the close-up photos at the end or at the beginning of the video, and also when I share this in social media. Friends, that finishes up my project today. I have listed in the description box below all of the different products that I've used today from the Paper and Ink shop. Make sure that you check out all of the Ideology, the Tim Holtz, the Ranger, the Sizzix. So much fun, so many great things. I just love it all. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye.